Today we've got a 2009 Ford Fiesta. It's the 1.2 Zetec and it's got 52,000 miles on it. This car's come in for a service today. I generally recommend a full service every third year. So as part of that service, we're going to be doing an engine oil and filter change. Right, so as with any engine oil and filter change, it's always a good idea to take the filler cap off or pull the dipstick up a bit, just so it drains down a bit smoother, doesn't splosh out everywhere. Let's let some air back into the engine basically. So sump bung on this is a 13mm. I'm going to use a single hex socket. It looks very slightly rounded, so that will minimise the chances of slipping on that. So the engine isn't very hot, it's just warm, so this shouldn't come out too fast, but hold the drainer up close anyway, just in case. Just going to let that drain down for a little while, and next we'll get the oil filter loose. So as you can see, the oil filter is quite easily accessible on this car. Well, actually it is turnable by hand, so that's a result. Otherwise, you can use a variety of different tools. I've got this set here, which I'll probably use for the ones with plastic housings and ones that are a little bit more difficult to access. You've got all these different size cups. It's not that expensive to buy a set like this, which just fit on the end of the oil filter, and you can see I've had to weld this one up because I broke it. You can just use a 3/8 drive ratchet, but usually I'll just use these grips, especially with Fiesta. Like I say, it's quite easy to access the filter, but as we know, I won't need any tools on this one. That's going to drip a bit of oil out now, so I'll back that off a little bit. Okay, plonk that on there and let that drain down. Right, so here's my new filter. As you can see on there, it even says apply oil to the seal face. So literally just use a bit of the oil that's dripping out, put that on the rubber seal. And spin it on. Nip that up hand tight. Now you can just wipe all that down. I've got a bit of brake and clutch cleaner, which is a brilliant degreaser. So I'll just give it a blast with this. One thing I should have mentioned, when you remove the old oil filter, make sure it's still got its rubber seal in it, because these can come off. They can stick to the oil filter housing up there on the engine. They can stick on there, and if you're not aware of it, you can spin the new oil filter on and it will just leak everywhere. So always make sure that the seal has come off with the filter. So we get this sump plug back in. As you can see, this one's got a rubber O-ring seal in there, which looks absolutely fine. Just got to make sure it hasn't got any splits or nicks in it. That's fine. Just nip that up. Okay, pretty much done under here now, so I'll just get rid of this old oil and we can drop it down and put some new oil in. Okay, let's get some oil in this vehicle. Quite important that the dipstick's out at this point. Hopefully stop it all glugging back up through the cam cover. So this engine takes about 4 litres of oil. So I've got 3.8 here, which I'm going to put in. Yeah, always better to go a little bit under than the recommended amounts. It's easier just to keep topping up in dribs and drabs rather than having to drain down if you put a little bit too much in there. Now, some of these engines are very slow fillers. Just trying to think of one. I know some of the Renaults are. You start tipping it in and it keeps on glugging back up. So you have to go really slowly with it. Fortunately, these ones aren't too bad, the Fiesta. Right, dipstick back in, oil filler cap on. Just going to start that up, make sure the oil light goes out, let it tick over for a few moments. Okay, the oil light went out, sounds good. You don't need to rev it up really, just let it tick over, particularly as it's just been drained and refilled. It can take a little while for it to build up pressure, so revving it's not really a good idea straight away. But anyway, that sounded good. I'm just going to leave that now for a few moments to settle and then we'll dip the level and see where we're at. Right, this has stood for a little while now. Just going to see where we're at with this oil level. As you can see, a minimum notch there and a maximum notch there. Oh, and we are slightly over, so I'm going to drain a little bit off of that. So that goes to show I've put 3.8 in and they recommend 4 litres. So yeah, I'll drop a little bit out, which is exactly what I was trying to avoid, but there we go. Right, so here we are again at the sump bunk. Yeah, this can be a little bit messy sometimes because obviously I don't want to take the sump bung right out. I just want to let a small amount of oil out and put it back. So you've got to be a bit careful because it might spray. I'll make sure I let out more than I think I need to, and a bit easier, as I say, to top it up. I reckon that's going to be plenty. Okay, well, we'll drop it down and try again. Right, okay, so we're back on the ground. Now previously I said once the engine's been drained and refilled and run up, you need to leave it probably for about 3 or 4 minutes before you dip it. But being as we've just drained off a small amount, the engine's already been run, haven't had to leave it. So you can see there it's sort of halfway between the minimum and maximum. So I'm going to grab a small quantity of oil and top it up and try not to go over the maximum this time. Okay, so I've put a little bit of oil in there. Let it stand for about 3 or 4 minutes. And yes, look at that. We're just touching the bottom of the maximum mark there. So that's all good, I'm happy with that. Put the dipstick back and the oil cap back on. Give it a run round the block and check for leaks, but hopefully it'll all be good. Well, thanks for watching. Hopefully the video's been of some help for you, and if it has, please consider hitting like and subscribe. It will help our channel out no end. Cheers.